Good morning. All right. And well, entracement right back up to the top of the range here, which means easy lifting, which didn't look so easy when it began, that it would move up this far for longs. Uh, really has to have more risk today, where we move into an obvious place of selling. You feeling it's going to be a great day today? Yeah. All right. Let's see. Well, I don't know how well, I guess since we're all here to make money, defining a great trade would mean to make money. So now we have to find the appropriate opportunities today. Yeah. Could be a narrow range day for sure, which would imply for SPX to get closer to the danger. And I'm not sure where that is. I'm up above. There isn't much premium, interestingly enough. Like where I looked at like 3,900. You know me, I'm always trying to look for the no-brainer guaranteed win. The juice really drops off after 38.75, which is right at the top of the range. So in no way does it make sense to sell a spread that close. It's interesting after moving up like that you have to get so close to it to get any premium. There's a huge open interest at 3,900, so which makes sense. Well, relatively huge. So odds are it's not getting up above there. But so the thing to do, let's see where things are at. We'll see where the futures are at. Yeah, you could go for Friday. You could go for Friday. But let's see if the markets can actually push up into this area. And if they can, that would make sense since we've got that big number as protection. That could make more sense. And on the downside, there's nothing to stop it because of the way it moved up. So I have written down, well, 37.50, but there's nothing there. There's no support. There's this unfilled gap, 37.80. Yeah, I mean, there's premium, but I mean, there's no support. It could hit 37.80. I mean, it's in the middle of the range. So again, if it is a narrow range day where it trades inside, it would be okay. Uh, I'm not so sure today, McGraw. Let me look at the futures here. I don't like getting too close. Um, let's see what they've been doing here pre-market. And since the close yesterday, they ran up and they're up into this resistance area and, pivot high, pivot high, pivot high. And look how close the pivot highs are to each other now. So this is how we read slowing momentum. Without indicators, the pivot highs are so close. The indicator junkies are looking at the bottom of their screen and thinking, "Oh, look at that bearish divergence," rather than just looking to the left. And you can see that it pokes above the prior high, but comes right back in again, which got this pivot low support down here just below 38.20. And so the idea of a put spread, in this area, just kind of eyeballing where we were looking at SPX, um, you've got a little cluster of stuff there, so you got this high. And so it would make sense, around 37.70, looking at the the futures, that's where buyers would show up. Let's take a little closer look here. We've got a little area right in here, relatively wide area. So I've got down here, but this is this cluster. So it isn't a lot of support, but it's, and you see how it's going sideways coming down here. And that could, you got another here. So it's not so clear this morning. Theoretically, after the move recovery, two wide range bars up, virtually totally negating this wide range bar down. That should increase the confidence of longs tremendously. And so some, limited downside 3,800, bottom whole number there. It should hold somewhere in here if it begins to back off. So we really don't have any clear indication other than slowing momentum that it's going to back off in any meaningful way yet. It's just the fact that it's up at this resistance here would make sense that risk on the long side is increasing. Right? That the upside is going to be limited at this point. Just common sense, looking to the left. It moved from the bottom of the range to the top of the range, and sellers or buyers are less confident. Pretty basic, simple stuff. Clear the drawings. Same story. Right back up to the top of the range, and another example of this market dropping as this has, and historically they do not come back like this. And so, the news driven short squeeze, which the brokerage firms came back in unison, shutting that down as the noose got tight around certain necks. We all know what happened with GME falling back down to earth. So, I guess that scare is over. Buyers just came right back up again. So everything's okay. We'll see. And we're getting a wide, whippy kind of a range going on here. We wait and see what happens here at the top of the range. Back down to the bottom of the range. Does it go sideways here? Do we get this week a correction bar where maybe we do get a narrow range and we get a breakdown under a low and it springs back up again? So whether it can continue to go up, probability of that after this run is relatively low, and it takes us out in a meaningful way today. We'll see what happens today. Dow is down a little bit and underperformed, which it has been, but up against its resistance area. Pivot high, pivot high, pivot high. It's got a couple of lows there. So, an easier or closer reference point to break, to move underneath there and then come down and test some support. Russell up into resistance. So everything is up into resistance here. So their respective resistance areas. So yeah, definitely be a narrow range kind of day of let's feel this thing out and see which way things might play out here, build a new level of support, or does it sell off? It could be one of those days where buyers continue to give it a try, and maybe by 3:00, if they can't make much headway, we do get a sell-off. So we might be in for a kind of a boring, stay out of trouble kind of morning anyway. Don't be the frog in the blender. Bonds moving down to this first support, and the significant support is right here. It's been playing out as anticipated with the wide range bar. So wide range bars like we saw in the S&Ps are power bars, just like these are power bars, but they create price voids, which now there's nothing up above to stop them, but they're supposed to get stopped because of the power bar, and sellers are supposed to come in like what's happened here and create resistance. And that's what's happening in the bonds. And so while this pivot low is here, theoretically, because of this break, it's supposed to break lower and keep going down, which means interest rates will go up. Sentiment backed off, and we spoke about that early in the week. I said it would probably back off quite a bit because of where it was. And while it has backed off, relatively speaking, quite a bit from where it was, historically, 0.80 is extreme. So where this has been recently is, nosebleed territory. And one of the things I mentioned earlier in the week was, okay, McClellan was down here at this bullish level, that we'd get this retracement, it would come up towards zero. And usually after a crack like this, coming up towards zero is where the sellers show up again. So we'll see if we get a price confirmation of that historical situation, occurrence that happens historically, where it comes back up and then you get sellers again, and this will roll back over. So what we would look for, right, this is going to be significant support because of the depth of retracement. But let's just go with, yeah, hey, this was just a technical bounce and it goes lower. And we don't need evidence of that, of course. But what we would see is, yes, this will go lower to whatever level of support is down below here. Let's use this. It's like an area. And let's just say it's down there somewhere. And I think the 100 MA is around there. And by that happening, this comes back down, and then sentiment finally gets to a bullish level. So we're reading the tea leaves here very diligently. Well, we see how this will play out. Oil just going up here. So interest rates going up, oil going up. That's a good sign. I mean, as far as, the underlying bullishness of the market, of, the economy should improve, and the whole, theory of, the antivirus, or whatever we call it, vaccines. And, so these are good underlying signs. We spoke about, the yield curve. This continues to inch up. That's good. Oil going up, that's good, and so on. So short term, that doesn't mean we can't get some kind of pullback, which will provide opportunities to buy relative strength stocks. And gold is still a mess. Flopping around, staying away. The hype of silver was just that, a hype. Came down pretty hard. It's nothing. And so the other thing that I've mentioned over the last couple of weeks is keeping an eye on the dollar. And so, this is the euro, which is broken down through a relatively significant support level. And this is the ETF of the dollar. Broke above the 50 MA in these prior pivots. So there's no discussion of that yet that I've seen in the media. But typically, as the dollar begins to move up, oil comes in, and that, obviously it's not. So maybe there's just a disconnect here for a period of time. But I'm aware, and I made you aware, that it's kind of like a fly in the ointment, so to speak. But it's not really having any effect as of yet. But we'll see what happens. Well, good, man.
Good morning. All of our hot stocks are doing fantastic, getting another jump today. See, MJ is the sector. Beautiful, beautiful day yesterday. Hey, Tiffany, I think it was you I had the talk with yesterday, right? Somebody's somebody's asking me about, hey, should I sell Tiffany if it's a swing trade yesterday? I'm like, no, it's an igniting bar. Right here, MJ. Somebody asked me about MJ or Tiffany, whatever it was, and I was just saying, no, it was Tilray maybe. Um, yeah, Tilray. I said that's an igniting bar. I said if you were day trading, yeah, sell it right into the close. But day trading, this sector looks great. We added a couple new ones yesterday. Cron and ACB. That looked fantastic. I mean, look at this monthly on ACB. Look at that. New low, snapback, 123, price void. This, hopefully at $40, we'll be pointing back and saying, hey, look, we used master trader strategies to get in down there with a daily, weekly, monthly in alignment. And I'll be like, yeah, that's exactly what we did. All right, so all our opens are fine. If you have any questions, ask me. I see our HLF gapping up. That looks fantastic. So I'll be tightening the stop on that. Green was on my list yesterday, but I never triggered it. That's up a little bit. We did snow put spread. And that's up. We have a call spread for Friday on Delta. And even though it's against us a little bit, we're still over 50% of max value. Let's go to gappers and earnings now. This was one we found yesterday. And I posted it. I said, and it was up here. And I said, hey, let's buy a pullback. And it just turned really quick. And some folks in the green room got it on this turn. So you're the beneficiary of a beautiful gap today. Beautiful, nice job there. X gapping under all this support. I just posted in our weekly options trader. Let's watch that for a bear call credit spread. IPWR. I don't know what this is, but it's a big gap. But this is the turn now. So this is major support. Let's keep an eye on that. Here's a 1, 2, 3 uranium. Debbie brought this to my attention. Buy setup on the weekly 1, 2, 3. That looks good over the high. This is a look at this nasty gap down. That's what we call a mega bull trap. All these people in these two bars are waking up saying, WTF. Emmanuel, your drop down. Spot had a bearish gap, but it's still in a trading range. Yeah, Google and Amazon were the big dogs yesterday. Google was powering post market 2048. Look at that, it's off the chart, the all-time highs. Look at that. I mean, it's off my weekly chart. So I just personally, you give me a big gap like that, I just personally am, as a general rule, have a fading bias. Even though it's in a strong uptrend. Amazon was whipping around last night after earnings, and now it's settling down up. Record earnings, and then the big news that Bezos is stepping down as a CEO. Norbert's asking about SM. SM 950. Yeah, maybe 30-minute high. Yeah, put it in a little 5-minute window and see what it does at the open. Stravros, good morning to you too. Boxel, BOXL. 226. Nah, it's consolidating, so it's a watch, and I like the weekly, but you need an action bar, and right now it's still kind of neutral, but it's a watch, yeah. A CMP Manuel 1490. Yeah, I don't know. It's an idea. Let's see what it does in the first 30 minutes. Wix put spread. The problem is that it's extended now at the top of the range. So what strike would you do? GTHX or Jake? Jake, I just have no idea what you are looking at there. You gotta help you and tell me what you're looking at. VIAV 17. So that's a bullish gap. So it's pretty obvious what you're looking at on this one, but I have no idea on the other one. And so on this, you got to wait, put it in a 5-minute window. Same drill. See what it does. CPRT. Is that a 1, 2, 3? McGraw. I have no idea what you're talking about. There's no 1, 2, 3, and it's up 3 days in a downtrend. So you got me on that one. That's exactly what I was looking at. I gave you my answer. Then I got the wrong stock. McGraw, there's absolutely no 1, 2, 3 here. Let's talk about it later. But you say, why is it not a 1, 2, 3? Well, why is a palm tree not a bicycle? It ain't. There's no 1, 2, 3 here, and it's a rally and a downtrend. So, but we'll come back to it later. Blink 5150 perking a little bit here pre-market, but I don't like the daily at all. Greater than 100%, negating that bar. So for me, it would be kind of more just a day trade. PLG 440, so gapping maybe 30-minute high, but not clean. I think we can find better. Let me continue with my list. BABA, I like this one a lot for a put spread. It's gapping up right to yesterday's high. So it's red bar ignored breakout. I have it here in the bottom right. So this 30-minute high, this looks fantastic. 30-minute high can be a swing. Maybe a little earlier, we'll look at a put spread. Checkpoint gap and down, but so that's a bearish gap at the support. So there's nothing to do with that, except maybe a short-term call spread. BIAB, that's the one Jake just asked about. These are all earnings. Sanmina down 32 bucks. Bearish gap, but nothing to do with it. SMSI. This isn't bad. You know, it had a deep retracement, but it's making the turn, gapping up a little bit. So that's not bad. 15 or 30-minute high right there. EA 145, bearish gap, but range bound, nothing to do with that. Now, Brooks had a nice pop into the close, its earnings. So pretty sure that was probably leakage or speculators. Gap and resistance. Big fat bear sandwich on the weekly if it closes here. ePay. This is. Do you remember we did the MT live called The Turn, TURN? I know it kind of sounds like a soap opera, but this is a beautiful turn. It's right at the 200. Big downside shakeout. Red bar, green bar. Now you got 1, 2, 3, 4 bars of support. So that I like for day trade. It's doesn't have much volume, but that looks good. Mix had earnings up and down 146, no pattern. STE gap it down a little bit, but not much volume. If this were to gap down and then take out yesterday's high, then this would be a put spread, McGraw, the 185s. But it doesn't have much volume here. Yeah, that's a bearish gap down, so forget it. Yeah, I like Roku yesterday. Yeah, for a put spread, still looks good. I like it. I wouldn't even worry about the thought of closing it yet, Emmanuel, just because it looks great right now. Just go into trail mode. Looks good. I know, I don't know what that snap going, but yeah, that's powerful move. Engine, bearish gap. Wow, I wonder if this rally was real. This topping tail. But it's gap in the support, but no pattern. Charlie Bravo earnings, no pattern. Although 30-minute low is a sell setup at resistance. HMN, light volume, no interest. There's the CMG you mentioned, no pattern yet. CPRI, nice gap from this consolidation. 30-minute high would be an idea. This thing's in a nasty downtrend, GWW. Yeah, ePay. Yeah, I did like it. No, I didn't. No, not ePay. Oh, yeah, I did like it over yesterday's high. I didn't see the bearish gap thing.